So now we go back to Egypt, where we started with the Passover. And let me read now Exodus chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, on that same night, this is God telling Moses about the night when the angel of death is going to come and kill the firstborns. He says, I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn. Now, who was it that went through Egypt and struck the firstborns? Wasn't it an angel? It was an angel of death. But I want us to understand how angels are so intertwined with what God is doing, that when God says, I am doing it, it's an angel that comes to do it. So, again, I will emphasize, angels do not listen to anybody except God. Anybody except God. When God says, I'm doing it, he might as well be saying the angel is doing it, because the angel is intertwined with God's perfect will. So God says, on that same night, I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn, both men and animals. And I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. Because he says what? I am the Lord. I am the Lord. Then God tells Moses something very interesting. He says, the blood will be a sign for you. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. Do you live in a house? Most of us do. So we are being told the blood is a sign for us in the houses where we live. It's the blood of Jesus. The blood of Jesus is a sign for you in the place where you live. Because that is where, like we said last week, we raise the altar, which is the cross of Jesus Christ. And then listen to what God says next. And when I see the blood, and when I see the blood which is on the posts of the door, the cross, when I see the blood, I will pass over you. I will pass over your house. Okay? No, then God goes on to say, no destructive plague will touch you when I strike the Egyptians. So when God sees the blood, he passes over, and no destructive plague will touch us when we raise an altar with the blood of Jesus Christ in our homes. So what does God look for when a person calls up to him? He looks for the blood. He looks for the blood at the altar of sacrifice. And that is why 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about crossing over, okay, when somebody is calling to God and he has not yet crossed over, he's not yet raised an altar of blood, the blood of Jesus Christ. So when he calls to God, you heard God saying in Isaiah 1:15, even if you offer many prayers, I will not hear you. Because God communes with us, fellowships with us by the blood at the altar of sacrifice. So remember that God said, when I see the blood. When I see the blood. He did not say, but when I see your tears, the way you're crying, you've been crying for 3 days, and nothing is happening. Surely by the 4th day, God will have mercy on me. By the 4th day, he will have pity on me. No. When I see the blood. When I see the blood, it causes God to go into action. I will pass over you when there is destruction. That destruction will pass over you. Not when I see your commitment. Sometimes we think it's the commitment. That when God sees a commitment. No. When I see the blood. Sometimes we think it's when God sees our desperation. And our desperation equals to many things. Equals to 40-day fasting. Equal to just sackcloth and ashes. Equals to pouring dust on my head. Because they used to pour dust on their heads to show God how sorry they are. And at the time, God accepted because it was a time of ignorance. God accepted many things in the Old Testament under the law. It was a time of ignorance. But he says, but no more. God sees the blood. So the blood of the Lamb spoke on behalf of the Israelites that night when the angel of death came. The blood was speaking. When the angel of death came to the blood on the doorposts of their houses, the blood spoke and said, not guilty. You can't come in here. Not guilty. So the angel of death passed over the homes of the Israelites. Because remember I told you, why did the angel not go to Goshen? He would have made things very easy. Just don't go to Goshen. Because Goshen is where all the Israelites live. But God makes it very personal. Because should there have been somebody in Goshen who had not put the blood on their doorposts, that night their firstborn would have died. So God does not see us as a community. Within that community, each person is responsible for their own action.